beans? I think we are here. We are live now. Took me a little bit of time to push some buttons, but let me tell you about something. I need y'all to put a one in the chat if you heard about the Civil War going on in Texas. I need you to put a number 2 in the chat if you heard about the terrorist invasion into the Americas. I want you to put a number 3 in the chat if you ever heard of any Beyonce tour ever. I want you to put number 4 in the chat if you have ever heard of any social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Clubhouse, any of them. Now, if you have heard of all 4 of the things that I mentioned, type all. Let me tell you guys something about knowing about everything and knowing about nothing at the same time. So back when I was young, the internet was just now coming out. We had this dial-up type thing where if you went on the internet, you now couldn't use the phone, and it was more so a hassle. Now we stream everything from our phones, from our laptops, from our whatever, and we know about everything, even if we unplug ourselves from TV, even if we don't watch the news, even if we don't listen to the radio. There is some form of social media out there that is going ahead and really going ahead and just targeting us where we know. How many times have you ever thought of something and then all of a sudden it pops up on your Facebook? Or all of a sudden Amazon had it in stock in sale with a price drop? It's so crazy out here. So I'm trying to figure out, like why, not even just why, how did these things come about? Like, who is just sitting around like, hey, if we stop doing commercials because people don't watch TV anymore and we put the commercials on your phone, how many things could we still sell for a fraction of the cost of broadcasting? Let me tell you, there's a couple companies that really went ahead and thought about that. So I'm going to go ahead and share something with you. Whether you're talking about sports, TikTok, concerts, Instagram, parties, YouTube, private events, it doesn't even matter anymore. We have this thing called word of mouth, or Twitter fingers, as what some people will say, and we go ahead and we promote these different things on a regular basis. And when we go ahead and promote these things, we don't necessarily get paid for it, but somebody else does. Think about it this way. When they started Black Planet, MySpace, Facebook, there was no cost to get started. Yet there's so many things out there that somehow they're getting paid, to the point where the promoter industry is a whole over $58.2 billion per year industry. So you know me, I had to go check the Carfax, as they would say, or check the facts. And I had to really do my own research. And what I found is that promotion creates revenue. It's almost like a commercial that goes out. Did you know TikTok made 1.9 billion last year? Instagram 47.6 billion, Snapchat 366.7 million. These aren't views. This is income, revenue that these owners are getting on a yearly basis. Twitter, or now X, is now 5.22 billion, Facebook 29 billion, Google 59.97 billion. And all Google is the warehouse for everything. Now, LinkedIn, we're looking at almost 12 billion, all the way to YouTube, 5.6 billion. If you mean to tell me everything on here is a free website that we go to, yet somehow down the grapevine, they were able to minimize their costs, market to us, and then still profit off of us. Now, that's crazy. So remember that company I've been telling you about? Make Wealth Real Financial? Yeah, so they have a promoter side, which allows you to have a home-based business. This home-based business is partially what these people were going ahead doing. Google was invented in his garage. A lot of these things were made with just an idea of how to market to other people. So let's say you want to go ahead and have a home-based business, but you don't want to have any products. You don't want to have to store anything. You don't have to format a whole new program. Well, Let me tell you about how it was. It was $149 for just the membership, and then it was $249 for the actual business, $149 for per month for the membership, regardless. But what did it include? It was a business, a home-based business that helped you get your life together. It helped you reduce your taxes, eliminate your debt, lower your bills, restore your credit. They even went as far as helping you get a house, even if you don't have the credit to be regularly approved at the bank. They went as far as making you become your own bank, being able to have those super high returns on your money instead of it just sitting there and doing nothing. They gave you resources to go ahead and buy land in the path of growth, where now we can buy land, real estate, become our own bank, and have a trust to protect all of the things that we accumulate. Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me there's a company out there that helps me get my stuff together and they pay me? Yes. If you don't even, I'm not going to say if you don't do anything, because if you do anything, if you don't do anything, you get nothing. However, there are certain statuses in this business. If you're going to be an executive director, you can go all the way to a 5-star. That's $4,500 a month. If you want to go ahead and go all the way to regional, that's all the way of $30,000 a month. If you were able to go ahead and be that rock star person and do everything you needed to do, did you know that that is $450,000 a month? That's more than the salary of the president. That's more than some salaries of some surgeons, some doctors, some lawyers, some people with a PhD. And it's all for restoring my credit, all for eliminating my debt, all for becoming my own bank, all for investing. Yes, there's a whole company out there that wants to pay you to be able to go ahead and be a successful person of society or go ahead and get to that next part of life. And it's really, really simple. I mean, talking 24 to 48 hours, go ahead and get started. You plug into everything. There are Zooms. If you don't want to go anywhere, you can travel with us. We have been to Florida. We have been to Vegas. We have been to Atlanta. We have been all over in our retreats, and we would love to be able to see you. And all we need you to do is get started, share, and rank up the comp plan. Yeah. And let's tell you the best part. The best part is the fact that you don't even have to do anything outside of that, because you will get into a Telegram group. That Telegram group then tells you of all the things that are happening, where even if you do not have those spokesmanship skills, or you want to be that speaker, you know all the things, you don't have to be a rocket scientist for any of this stuff. They give it all for you. And all you have to do is say, oh, today is Tuesday. I got an event. Let me go ahead and see what's going on. But now let me go ahead and break down why this is your number one asset. A home-based business is your number one asset because let's think about it this way. I need everybody to get a piece of paper. This is going to be actually really quick. On your piece of paper, I want you to think about everything that you usually spend on a monthly and or yearly basis. So things like the mortgage and rent. Let's say it's $1,000. Let's talk about the utilities. Let's say that's $500 a month, depending on where you live, how big the house is. Your cell phone. Okay, let's say that's $100. The mileage in your car, let's say on the average time, it says people go, what, 10,000 miles a year? The food that you eat, maybe $200 a month. Internet is about $50. So at the end of the day, you don't have any deductions. These are all just bills that you had to pay. Well, let's talk about what happens when you have a home-based business. When you have any form of income, we cannot avoid state and federal taxes. That's just not really a thing. So if you are a regular employee, as in you work that 9 to 5, have that W-2, you get the W-4, whatever, you're waiting for a tax refund, you're actually taxed the highest at 30%. Versus if you were to do some other things to kind of shift that tax break down, but we'll talk about those in a different video. But let's talk about how that business income or adding a home-based business can actually offset all of these numbers so that your total earned and the other options that are in the world, it just makes this the best thing to do. When you have a home-based business, you can now take out 20% of your rent or mortgage and put that towards a business expense. Chink, first deduction. When you have a home-based business, the utilities that you use, the energy, the water, the things that you consume, 20% of that can actually be deducted for a business expense. Your cell phone, say you work from home and everything you do is on your phone. Now 85% of that bill can now be deducted. Mileage, they are taking 59 or 56 cents on the mile. You multiply that out and you're able to get a number. Your meals during COVID, they were actually 100%. I'm not sure about this year because, COVID's kind of here, but not really here. But let's say 50 to 100 just for numbers sake. And then your internet is now 100% tax deductible because you're utilizing your internet to conduct your business. And without without the internet, your business could not go. Because we talked about the promotion industry, right? How are we going to talk on Facebook or talk on Instagram or talk on anything else if we don't have the internet and Wi-Fi available? So if we break this down to a monthly type thing, that's now $200 a month on your rent or mortgage being deducted, $100 for utilities, 85 for your cell phone. Mileage is if you sit at home all day, nothing. But if you go ahead and just do the standard deduction, let's go ahead and keep that. Your meals, 50% of that is, so we're looking at anywhere between $100 to $200. And then your internet is that whole 50. So you mean to tell me that now I went from bills to expenses? Yes. Bills are not tax deductible. When you do your taxes, when it's time to go ahead and file them, you don't get to write off any of this stuff if you don't have a home-based business. These are just the cost of being an adult. So let's talk about what those numbers mean on a yearly basis. On a yearly basis, now we have 24,000 or 2,400 a year, 1,200 a year, 1,020, 5,600, 1,200, 600. All of that came up to $12,020. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to deduct off $12,020 off of your income just to be able to say, hey, these were my living expenses. These were my business expenses. These were a part of me being able to carry on my day-to-day and my business. And now, Mr. Government, I understand you're going to still tax me that 30% or less. But let's go ahead and say if I did that, that means I technically have a tax refund now of a positive $3,600. Now that may be a little bit different if you have kids, if you bought a hybrid vehicle, if you bought a house, if there was a death in your family, and I mean like immediate family, if there's different ways to kind of go ahead and offset that. But let's talk about just the regular person, whether you have kids or not, because I don't know if you guys realize when you guys have kids, you get a whole lot more deductions than the average person that does not have kids. So this one is actually geared more so for my people who may not have kids, who may not have these deductions, who are actually really waiting to be able to get their tax refund to go ahead and go to their next step. If you have a home-based business, say you partially do your business, and you only make $2,400 for the whole year. You didn't want to share nothing. You didn't want to talk about nothing. You pretty much just wanted to hang out and do you. On a bare minimum, that $2,400 plus the 36 now gives you $6,000. $6,000 in additional income per year, only because my calculator is right in front of me, and you know how I be doing. Calculator. 6,000 divided by 12. And now put that $500 back into our pockets every month. And we can go ahead and put in $500 per month. This is actually the number that what most people that were following bankruptcy was couldn't actually do. So, or that's why they filed bankruptcy. So that extra $500 a month or $6,000 a year, how else can we come up with this money if we don't get another job, if we don't try and work overtime? Like, where could we possibly generate another $6,000 if not from the house that we already live in? Now, keep in mind, I said rent or mortgage. You do not have to live, you do not have to own your house to have a home-based business. You just have to have a house to work out of in order to call it a home-based business. So on one hand, you can do 1% at 600,000. Okay. If you have $600,000, that's cool. But if you have $600,000, does that 6,000 really matter? What if you were able to find an account that then paid you 3%? Okay, cool. That 3% means I need to have at least $200,000 sitting there in order to, and that's sitting there, not touching it, in order for it to have that compound interest, in order to actually increase to that $6,000. Now, say by some grace, you were able to find an account that then paid you 6% compound interest on your money. Now, this means that you will need at least $100,000 sitting in an account or some form of investment strategy that's supposed to net you at least 6% in order for you to get that 6,000. Now, right now, if put a number, well, I don't even want to have you call yourself out because I know how life be life. If the regular American had $100,000 to $600,000 in their pocket, there's certain things that just wouldn't really matter. But because that's not what our majority have, let's talk about what our majority have. What is the little number that we can go ahead and put towards ourselves to be able to invest in something in order to get this same $6,000? Well, from the beginning, I told you about the company Make Wealth Real Financial, that for if you were to do the home-based business, the promotion side, that is $249 one time and $149 per month. That $149 per month can now net you $6,000. Oh, snap. So now what this means is that even when I am a little fish, or I may not have that 100,000, that 200,000, that 600,000, I can now be able to put something that I do have and put that in to get that 6,000. Because who knows that money doesn't fall from the sky? Who knows that there's no such thing as a money tree that you can just shake and all of a sudden all bills are paid, all income is met, all needs are met. Because we do not live in the world where we are allowed to print money for ourselves to pay our own bills, we have to find ways to go ahead and maximize the money that we already have. Some of that is going to be, to maximize income can either be A, through labor, or B, to have non-labor, income. Labor income means that you go get that other job, you go to school, you find something else to invest your time in for dollars. But who knows that there's only 24 hours in a day, and no matter how many jobs you work, you still want to be able to go home, hang out, spend time with family, do things that you want to do, where working a job 24/7 just isn't the way you want to go about it. So let's really learn about how to go ahead and make that money in our sleep, go ahead to be able to do something and that create a revenue or an additional stream of income. So now you don't have to go into debt in order to get money coming in. Now, keep in mind, Make Wealth Real has no contracts. There is no, you have to do this to do whatever else. But now let me tell you, if you decide to start a business and you decide to take on the ownership properties of having a business, that is a great way to lower your taxes. However, if you decide to not do it and then pay the high tax bill at the end, that's all on you too. As adults, we make our own choices. However, here's one quick way that I was able to go ahead and tell you just how to go ahead and reduce those taxes and utilize the money that you already have coming in and really be able to maximize those things for you. So now if you want to tune in later, you want to find more information, go ahead and hold on. Your business is your number one asset, so go ahead and strategize your way. But here's a QR code for you to go ahead and get in contact with me. Here's also my number on the screen. Go ahead and take advantage of that. Just because sometimes we only know what we know, and we shouldn't be penalized for what we don't know. So sometimes you just need to be around some people who do know some other things, other than the latest dance moves or whatever latest song or whatever the government got going on in their own backyard. So here's a way that I'm going out to go ahead and help all of you, especially the ones who may not have children, may not have those deductions, may not just know what ways you can go ahead and get ahead, or you were already thinking of starting a business, but you were, hesitant on startup costs and everything you kind of had else to do. This is a way to go ahead and get those same benefits without having all of that headache or hassle. So tune in next time. We will talk later, and that is more of your number one asset. Talk soon.